everybody, welcome to my video for anyone wanting to know about what a nursing associate apprenticeship is, how it works, how you apply for the apprenticeship, what qualifications you need to apply. If you've got any other questions at all at the end of the video, you can also put them in the comments and I'll answer them all. Do check out my other videos on my YouTube channel, they're all free, and I've got some great videos out there to help you prepare for future interviews and to support you as students or trainee nursing associates in the future. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up on YouTube. So firstly, when looking at the nursing associate apprenticeship, it's important you know the differences between roles in nursing. We've got nursing assistant or support worker roles. There's different titles across employers used. And these roles are usually responsible for assisting people with their physical, psychological, day-to-day needs. For example, physical needs might be helping them with eating, personal hygiene, mobility or toileting. Taking them to the shops and providing companionship and mental health support or learning disability support, depending on their mental health needs and learning disability needs. It really depends on where you work and what field you work in. Then we've got assistant practitioner. Again, this is a supportive role directed by registered nurses, but an assistant practitioner has extended skills and knowledge to a higher level. It's a level 5 foundation degree to become an assistant practitioner. Support workers and assistant practitioners are not registered with our professional regulatory body, the Nursing Midwifery Council, whereas nursing associates and registered nurses are registered with the Nursing Midwifery Council. If any of you want to know a bit more detail about the differences between assistant practitioner, nursing associate and registered nurse, I talk about these in more detail in these two videos that I've shown on this slide. The key difference between an assistant practitioner and a nursing associate is that an assistant practitioner does not specifically work only in nursing. You may be an assistant practitioner in physiotherapy, an assistant practitioner in occupational therapy, but you can also be a nursing associate, an assistant practitioner in nursing too. Then we have a nursing associate. That role is registered with the Nursing Midwifery Council. And to become a nursing associate, again, it's a level 5 foundation degree, but it's a different foundation degree to the assistant practitioner. So do check out which level 5 foundation degree you are applying for, depending on what role you aspire to. If you wish to become a registered nurse, you are registered with the Nursing Midwifery Council. The degree is a Bachelor of Science level 6 degree. It is 2023 when I'm releasing these videos, and university higher education credit frameworks might change. So I'm talking about level 5, level 6. It's a foundation degree versus a Bachelor of Science degree. And currently it's a level 6 for a Bachelor of Science degree in England. But if those frameworks change, the numbering might change, but the principles will be the same. And also note that in Scotland, they use a completely different framework and numbering system. So what is a nursing associate apprenticeship? And sometimes you'll see on university websites that this apprenticeship, it might be called a trainee nursing associate apprenticeship, or a nursing associate higher apprenticeship, or a nursing associate foundation degree apprenticeship. It depends on the university, but it should have nursing associate and apprenticeship in that title. So there are two routes to get into nursing. You can choose either the traditional route at uni, where you self-fund and you pay your own tuition fees, or alternatively you can go down the apprenticeship route, where the employer pays your tuition fees, but they don't just pay them for nothing. They're hoping that you're going to stay on with them as an employer as you're working for them. So you are employed and paid a wage during your apprenticeship, and you'll have no tuition fees. So there's nothing to pay back when you complete your apprenticeship. You don't pay tuition fees or training fees, as the apprenticeship costs are covered by the employer in 2023. You'll be earning while you're learning, sometimes called on-the-job learning. And the wages that you have at the end of the month are yours. They're not paid back in any way. So what does this mean in practical terms? So you apply for a training nursing associate apprenticeship with an employer. If you're successful at interview, you are signed up as an employee on an apprenticeship contract for as long as the apprenticeship lasts. So a typical full-time nursing associate apprenticeship contract will be 37.5 hours a week for 18 months to 2 years. Usually they're 2 years. Most apprenticeships will state a minimum number of hours required per week. So for example, it might be 30 hours a week minimum. And if you can't commit to those defined minimum hours, you won't be offered an apprenticeship. So you must check with this specific employer on what their specific apprenticeship requires, as there are a range of apprenticeships out there. During the apprenticeship, you work alongside staff and you are released to do your education, and you're expected to do shift work. So if you have childcare or other carer responsibilities, you need to talk to the individual employer about how flexible they can be with shift patterns, as it depends on the employer and the managers offering the apprenticeships. A typical example apprenticeship might be 2 days a week in practice learning in placement, where you should be supernumerary. That means that you're not in the rota numbers. 2 days you're a student, on a trainee nursing associate on those days. And then you have 2 days carrying out your normal duties in your usual employment setting, and you're in the staffing numbers then. And then you have 1 day on classroom-based study time. Now, different employers may have different requirements. They might say you have 3 practice days, or you might have 3 days where you carry out your duties in the employment setting. So they can be slightly different across employers, but this is like a typical example. So do check the different models and what's being offered on the apprenticeships that you're applying for. So how do you learn on a nursing associate apprenticeship? You learn in different ways. Let's take a typical apprenticeship. You might have 2 days of practice learning placement days where you are supernumerary. That means you're not in the staffing numbers. Then on placement, you work towards developing your clinical knowledge and skills guided by nursing associate proficiencies. And if you check the Nursing Midwifery Council website, you can view the standards of proficiency for registered nursing associates. And that sets out the knowledge and skills that a nursing associate needs to meet. During your placements, an experienced nurse will supervise you and help you, support you to complete and get signed off these core proficiencies. Your placements might start in an area where you've been offered the apprenticeship role, your base area, or you could have placement somewhere else in that institution. Then you might have 2 days of carrying out your duties in your usual employment setting, but you are in the staffing numbers. So you'll still be building up experiences, observing and learning on the job here too. You can develop your communication skills, you'll be working with other team members and allied health professionals, but you are in the numbers. Then you have 1 day a week on classroom-based study. On the university side, you might have a mix of face-to-face seminars and lectures. Some sessions might be virtual. You have self-directed work, assignments and assessments to complete. And nursing associate courses have a range of assessments such as essays, poster presentations, oral presentations and clinical exams. You should have group tutorials, peer support groups and one-to-one tutor and supervisory sessions where you are supported by your peers. So that's a typical apprenticeship, but they may vary depending on which employer. So how do you apply for an apprenticeship? At the moment, 2023, you apply for a nursing associate apprenticeship through an employer, and you'll see apprenticeships advertised locally or nationally. You apply as you would any job through this employer. There'll be a job description, a personal specification, and relating to the apprenticeship that's being offered on the advert. And you'll notice that adverts are often out at certain times of the year. They're not out every month. So for example, an employer or a university may have a recruitment event or an open day promoting their nursing apprenticeships. And often the application links is promoted at this event, before, in the event and after, ready for the first cohort to start, maybe in September. If there are 2 cohorts a year, for example, they might have open events and recruitment events for a January and a September intake. So they might have 2 open days that year. To find out when they're running, check local university and employer websites. All employers and universities offering apprenticeships will have an employer apprenticeship lead or an apprenticeship program lead. So you can always contact them and ask them questions about when the next event will be. And at recruitment events, you can find out about what apprenticeships are being offered and what you need to, what qualifications you need to apply for their specific apprenticeship as well. When applying for any apprenticeship, it's important to read the person specification and application criteria to know what experience, qualifications and certificates you need to apply for this nursing associate apprenticeship. You usually must have maths and English, GCSEs, grade C or above, or equivalent, or level 2 functional skills in maths and English, or an international equivalent. That's the minimum. You can talk to universities directly about the international equivalent they accept, and also if you are a mature person, you may have different types of qualifications, so do liaise with universities about that. Some employers also request certain courses and certificates, such as the care certificate, but not all. Some employers will support you with the care certificate if you're successful at interview as part of your induction. It really depends on the employer. The care certificate is 15 standards. It consists of 15 standards for people that are new to working in health and social care, and these standards define the knowledge, skills and behaviours expected in these types of roles. So if you're a support worker, you'll probably have got the care certificate anyway. Also, some employers request a level 3 health and social care course, and they usually list the courses they'll accept on the advert. Some don't though, some may not request additional courses, but some do. But if you look on the person specification, if you haven't got those courses, it's still worth contacting apprenticeship leads if you've completed a course that isn't listed, for example, to see if it will be accepted as an equivalent. And also some employers will specifically request experience in health or social care environments, and they might stipulate a time frame, so they might say a specific setting, so for at least 12 months experience in a hospital or a community clinical setting. It depends on what type of apprenticeship you're applying for, but as I said, not all employers will define that. If your application for a nursing associate apprenticeship is successful, you'll be called to interview. The interview is usually a joint process between the university and the employer providing the placements. So it's often a half day or a full assessment day. You usually have a standard interview panel, and you're interviewed where you're asked questions by the panel, and you're assessed on your values, your behaviour, communication and problem solving skills. You may also have some group work or discussion as part of the assessment day, and interviewers will be assessing how you communicate and work with other group members. So lots of videos to help you on my YouTube channel to help you prepare a nursing personal statement, to prepare for interview questions, how to overcome nerves, tips for group work in an interview where you're being observed, and group discussion, and also some videos on helping your skills relating to the coursework, so reflective essays, for example, or preparing for a presentation as well. So good luck for any of you applying for nursing associate apprenticeships, and I wish you all the best in your future career. If you've got any questions, put them in YouTube comments and I'll answer all questions. If you'd rather DM me privately, you can DM me on Twitter or on my website. And do check out my books. I've got 2 books, one How to Thrive as a Newly Registered Nurse, and the second one How to Prepare for Interviews and Develop Your Career as a Nurse or Midwife. And the details to buy my books are in the description.